Today, I'm going to show you a breathing hack that you can use to actually allow the oxygen in your bloodstream to be utilized more effectively. What's going on, everybody? It's Blake here with Gorilla Zen Fitness. Hey, I'm shooting this video on my phone today. I'm in kind of a hurry. I'm about to take off to Chicago to Ryan DeBell's workshop, The Movement Fix. If you guys haven't seen that, my podcast with him, or if you haven't checked out his channel, make sure you do that. But what I wanted to do is really quickly make some content for you guys. And, what I want to talk about is, a trick that you can actually use to allow the oxygen that's actually in your blood to be utilized more effectively by your cells and organs like your brain, right? And basically this knowledge comes from a book that I just read recently called The Oxygen Advantage. It's pretty interesting stuff and stuff that I've never actually heard before, so I highly recommend you check that book out. Once again, it's called The Oxygen Advantage. Sorry, I'm checking my phone. I'm trying to stop that from happening. Oxygen Advantage, really good book. But basically, the first thing that you need to understand, this is very new to me, I didn't know this before, but there is something called the Bohr Effect, okay? And basically what that means is that the oxygen present in your bloodstream will be sent into your cells and organs and utilized by your body, basically, more effectively when the amount of carbon dioxide in your blood is actually a little bit higher, okay? So you want a degree of carbon dioxide to be in your body. So despite what people used to think, that carbon dioxide was just a waste gas, it's not. Okay, it's actually it actually affects the utilization of the oxygen in our bodies, right? So by having a little bit more carbon dioxide in our bodies, we can actually utilize the oxygen in our blood more. Our brain, our tissues, all the cells of our body can. And so this is kind of like crazy, groundbreaking stuff that I just didn't know about before. And he talks about in the book how deep breathing is actually bad. Like these deep breathing exercises where you're taking huge breaths in, huge breaths out. Things that are taught in yoga a lot. Things that are taught by a lot of people, therapists. But the reason why that is bad is because he calls that over breathing, right? Because you're taking in these giant, breaths in, and then giant breaths out too. And what you're doing when you take those big exhalations is you're getting rid of a lot of the carbon dioxide in your bloodstream, which you really shouldn't be, right? That needs to be in there in order for the oxygen in your blood to be utilized more effectively. He also talks about the myth that deep breathing helps to oxygenate your blood more. Okay, he says that is false. Most of the research that he's done on most people have a blood oxygen saturation of above 90%, somewhere close to 95%. So it's pretty saturated with oxygen, even despite doing deep breathing exercises. You're not going to be able to get it more oxygenated by deep breathing. But what you will do by deep breathing is exhale too much, and therefore allow the blood oxygen that you have to not be utilized as effectively as it would. So he's all about very light breathing, okay? Not taking deep breaths, actually breathing through the nose and taking very small breaths all the time, even during exercise, if your lungs and your cardiovascular system can take it. Basically, so that's what he's all about, light breathing. He talks about breathing through the nose instead of mouth breathing, which I've talked about in my other videos. Mouth breathing, like this, right? It promotes sympathetic nervous system activation, your fight or flight nervous system. It can make you more stressed out, raise your blood pressure, heart rate, things like that. Things you don't necessarily want to be doing all the time, right? Especially in today's day in society where we're all stressed out anyway. So mouth breathing causes you to overbreathe. It causes the sympathetic nervous system to activate. And it also causes forward head posture, okay, which I've talked about in a lot of my videos. So really, nose breathing is where it's at. Not only will you actually activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the opposite, part of the nervous system that calms your body down, but nitrous actually it's in your sinuses and it gets transported into your lungs, which is very beneficial. Your nose filters out, particles and kind of heats up and humidifies the air that's coming into your lungs. Basically, we're meant to breathe through our noses. And, by breathing through our noses all the time, we'll get all those benefits that I just described, and you just won't be breathing as heavy through your nose, right? It's a smaller airway than your mouth, and because of that, you're just naturally going to be breathing less volume of air, so you won't be expelling as much carbon dioxide, which means that blood that has all the oxygen in it, it's going to be more effective, right? So breathing through the nose is really all you need to do all the time. It's not as easy to do that as people think, especially during the evening, right? If you're like somebody that snores or somebody that has sleep apnea, you probably sleep with your mouth open. What he talks about in the book is actually either one, which is kind of crazy, is taping the mouth shut, which forces you to breathe through your mouth, or getting like this head strap. It's called like a stop snoring strap that like pushes your jaw closed. But basically the idea is that you want to be constantly reprogramming your body to breathe through the nose. When you're asleep, by using some sort of device that supports you like that, obviously check with your physician before you go taping your mouth shut. But that is one way to kind of program your body to get used to nose breathing in the evening. And then during the day, just really be cognizant of it and really just make sure that you're breathing through the nose at all times and you're not breathing through the mouth. And by doing that, you're going to be giving yourself so many benefits. And if you're somebody like me, I've been a wrestler for 12 years. I've been involved in martial arts, and I have a very skinny nose, but like through all of that, my nose has taken a beating over the years. I've broken it, I think definitely once, maybe twice. But my point is, my nose has always been kind of stuffy. The more you breathe through your nose, the more it kind of opens up and dilates, and the more air you can actually get in through the nose. So if it's hard for you to breathe through your nose now, I promise after you start doing this for a couple days, only breathing through your nose, you're really going to notice that it's easier to breathe through your nose, okay? But that's really it. That's what I wanted to share with you all today. Start breathing through the nose. If you want to learn more about all this kind of stuff that I'm talking about, the blood oxygen saturation, how to make it more effective, there are a lot of exercises in that book. I don't have any affiliation with this guy. I just recently read this book, thought it was very interesting. I'm very curious about breathing, and I know a lot of you are too. So once again, the book is called The Oxygen Advantage. Make sure to pick that up if you haven't yet. Other than that, that's it for today. If you're not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, make sure you go ahead and do that over there. And if you're not following me on Instagram, do that. If you haven't liked my Facebook page, then go ahead and do that as well. Other than that, I will see you next time.